Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another lesson. This time, we're going to talk about the past simple versus the past continuous. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to talk about situations and things you did in the past, know when to use the past simple and past continuous correctly, be able to talk about your background, your past experiences, and also past events and past situations. All right, so the past simple is used to describe actions or events that have occurred and been completed in the past. So actions or situations that are finished. The structure for this is the subject plus the root form of the verb plus either ed or d. So if we have a verb like to start, we would say I started, or you, he, she, it started, they or we started. All exactly the same, so incredibly easy to conjugate. Then if we have a verb that already ends in an E, then we just need to add a D. So like with encouraged, we would just say I, you, he, she, it, they, we encouraged. Again, so no difficult conjugation here. That part is all super simple. So if we look at the uses of the past simple, we'll use the past simple to describe a single event that happened at a specific time in the past. So remember this specific time. And you see we say happened, ed, because it happened in the past, right? It's finished and it happened in the past. Describe something that happened long ago at some point in the past. Describe situations that are over, completed, or finished. Describe how things were in the past, or to talk about actions that took place in chronological order, which means time-based order, one after another in the past. Okay, so one thing happened, then another thing happened, then another thing happened. Okay, they all happened in the past, one after another. So to describe an event that happened at a specific time in the past, such as my jaw dropped when I heard the crazy news last Tuesday. So last Tuesday is a specific time in the past, and my jaw dropped when I heard it. Okay, at that moment, my jaw dropped. When they announced my name on the loudspeaker, I was in the bathroom. So when they did that thing in the past, okay, I missed them say my name because I was in the bathroom when they announced it, okay? So at that time, at that specific time, that's what happened. My wife resigned from her company last week. Last week, specific time in the past, she resigned. She quit her job. I graduated from university in 2009. Specific time in the past, that's when I graduated and finished university. So to describe a situation that is finished, we finally completed the remodeling of our home. Not in progress anymore. Now we completed it. I lived in Dubai for 2 years, but I don't live there anymore, okay? I lived there for 2 years, but now we know it's finished because it's ed. I lived. I don't live there anymore. My son stayed with us for 2 weeks while he was in between apartments, but he's not staying with us anymore. How you know this is because I say he stayed with us for 2 weeks. Now it's finished. She worked for LG Electronics when she lived in Korea. So she worked for LG when she lived there, but she doesn't live there anymore and she doesn't work for them anymore. So now it's finished, so we say she worked. So for how things were or how things used to be, that's the most common way you'll hear people say it, is how things used to be, or something I used to do. So for example, I used to work as a professor before I changed careers, right? I changed careers in the past. I used to work as a professor, but I don't anymore, okay? That situation is now finished. Mercedes used to make the best cars back in the day. Okay, they used to, so you're implying that it's not true anymore. You're saying that it's finished and now somebody else makes the best cars, but Mercedes used to make the best cars. Everyone used to work in the office Monday through Friday before COVID. So that's a time in the past, right? Everyone used to, back in those days, how things were, everyone used to work in the office Monday through Friday before COVID. I used to watch more movies when I was single. Okay, but now I have a relationship and I don't have as much time or something like that. But I used to watch more movies when I was single. That should probably say I used to go to the bar all the time when I was single. But anyway, I don't remember my frame of mind when I wrote this, but you get the point. Back when I was single, a time in the past, which is now finished in this example, I used to watch more movies back then. So common time expressions for the past simple. In the past, used to, or a specific time like yesterday, last night, last week, last month, last year, or when I was a child, when I was young, when I was in school, okay, a period in the past that is finished, or the other day, a specific time in the past. So a specific time ago, like a few days ago, a few weeks ago, a few months ago. All of these are these keywords, these clues, these time expressions that show you we're talking about the past simple. All right, now let's switch gears a bit and talk about the past continuous now. So the past continuous is used to describe actions or events that were in progress at a specific moment in the past or were not finished yet. So it's also called the past progressive because it was something that was in progress in the past, all right? So if you remember with the past simple, we said something happened at a specific moment in the past, but it was finished or completed. Now we're talking about a specific moment in the past when something was in progress. So if you recall the example that I gave in the present continuous, I said, if someone called you on the phone right now, what would you say you were doing? Okay, so if someone called me right now, I would say I am teaching. Okay, but if I'm telling a story where someone called me on the phone yesterday, it's not what I am doing, it's what I was doing at that moment. So what was I doing when someone called me on the phone yesterday at 3 p.m.? I was working out at the gym. So when we're talking about a past continuous moment, we're talking about a specific moment in the past where something was in progress or not finished yet. Okay, so what were you doing? What were you doing when someone called you on the phone at a specific time, yesterday or some other time in the past? So if we look at the structure, we're going to have our subject plus was or were, depending on which subject it is, okay, plus the root form of the verb plus ing. So again, very similar to the present continuous, except that instead of the present tense be verb, it's going to be either was or were. So just to look at it visually, you'll have I, he, she, or it plus was, and then the root form of the verb to talk plus ing. So I was talking, okay? And then for you, they, or were, it would be they were talking. So let's look at some of the uses of the past continuous. First, to talk about something that was in progress at a time in the past. So the time may or may not be specified, but it was in the past and it was in progress. To talk about actions that were in progress over a period in the past, all right? To describe actions that were taking place at the same time of another action, both in the past. Okay, we have were taking place at the time of another action, okay? To describe repeated actions, regular habits, or routines, but in the past, all right? Or to discuss an activity that was interrupted or stopped by another action in the past, okay? Interrupted by another action. So one thing was in progress, but it got interrupted by another action. And we'll talk about that more. So for something in progress in the past, I was talking with my mom when you called. So if we see this called, C-A-L-L-E-D, past simple, right? Because it ends in ed. But at the time when you called, I was talking to my mom. The talking was not finished. It was in progress, okay? When you called, I was talking with my mom. They were in a meeting when I arrived. So again, past simple, I arrived. And at the time I arrived, they were in a meeting, okay? The meeting had not finished yet. Their marriage was struggling before they started couples counseling. So before they started couples counseling, their marriage was struggling. It was in the process, like the struggle was still going on, right? It was a situation that had continued before they started couples counseling. So started, again, a specific moment, past simple moment. And before that, they had this time period where they were struggling. I was driving home when I remembered I forgot my laptop. So I forgot my laptop, past simple moment when this thing happened. Oh, I remembered, I forgot my laptop. But when I remembered it, I was driving home, okay? So maybe I'm communicating that it was too late for me to get it because I had already forgotten it. I was already driving, so I didn't have the chance to still get it, okay? So for a situation or action that continued over a period of time, my weight was fluctuating wildly during that time. So fluctuate means to go up and down, up and down, up and down, right? So if it was fluctuating wildly during that time, so this is a time period in the past, could have been while I was in college, could have been while I was pregnant, could have been 6 months, 6 months ago, last year, whatever. My weight was fluctuating wildly during that time. My husband was working hard to finish our new bathroom before his parents came to visit. So we're telling a story here, we're kind of setting the time frame, and we're saying my husband was working really hard to finish our bathroom before his parents came to visit. So at that time, he was working hard. We were running out of time fast and had to think of something quick, okay? So at that moment, we were running out of time. Okay, at that moment, it was a situation in progress where we were running out of time. Okay. So for actions happening at the same time, I was preparing dinner while my roommates were setting the table. I was doing this, they were doing that. Both were happening at the same time. We were still shopping for a new coat when you called. Okay, so when you called, we were still doing this. These two actions happened at the same time. I was trying to negotiate a better price, but my partner was too hungry to wait. Okay, so at the same time that I was negotiating the price, my partner was hungry. Okay, so my partner didn't give me a lot of extra time to sit there and keep negotiating because they were in a hurry. She was raising a family while still running her company. So she's raising a family at the same time as running her company, okay? Both happening at the same time. To describe repeated actions, regular habits, or routines in the past. So I was attending therapy sessions regularly to work on my anxiety, okay? Repeated action or routine in the past. I was attending therapy sessions regularly. Now, this is a bit tricky, right? Because it's different from the present continuous and present simple. In the present simple, for things that are repeated, it was I attend or she attends, right? But now in the past, we want to talk about routines or repeated actions. We use the past continuous. So I was attending therapy sessions regularly. But don't get these two confused, okay? In the past continuous, the way that we talk about past routines and regular habits is pretty much the same form. We just changed the be verb, okay? So we use the past continuous to talk about habits or routines in the past. We were holding weekly practices to get ready for the championship match, okay? We were holding weekly practices. It repeated every week. I wasn't sleeping much in those days because I was studying so much, okay? During those days, I wasn't sleeping much, over and over and over, okay? It was repeated. She was making about 3 doctor visits a month when she was pregnant. Okay, so was making 3 doctor visits per month every month. It was a routine, right? All right, an activity that was interrupted by another action. You've already seen a few examples like this. So I was washing dishes when you called, these types of things, right? This is one of the most common ones. But just to kind of give you a little bit more specific, concrete examples, they were driving cross country when their van broke down. Okay, so they were driving. This was an activity that was in progress, but then their van broke down, which interrupted that process, that activity. She was still planning the trip when they got the bad news. So she was still planning it when they got the bad news, right? It was an activity that was interrupted. She didn't get to finish planning the trip because this bad news apparently means that she can't go on the trip. He was only seeking a raise, so he was thrilled when he also received a promotion. Okay, so the activity was he was seeking a raise, and that got interrupted by, in this case, positive news that he also got a promotion. Okay. I was preparing for a presentation when my laptop suddenly crashed. Okay, the activity was preparing for the presentation, but then the laptop crashed, right? Which interrupts that preparation. All right, let's just have a little brief summary here. So again, the differences are past simple, something happened at a specific moment and is finished, okay? Past continuous, something was in progress at a certain time or was in progress when it got interrupted by a past simple action, okay? So just a few examples again to kind of summarize all this. We went to France last week. That's past simple. Versus we were preparing to visit France, but our plans changed. Past simple, we closed the deal, so it's finished, it's closed. Versus we were closing the deal when they pulled out, meaning that the deal did not get closed. They moved to Germany, okay, finished. They moved, finished in the past, right? They were thinking about moving to the Netherlands, but then something happened, okay? So they moved, it happened, it finished, past continuous. They were thinking about moving, but then they changed their minds, all right? She successfully found a new job. So she was looking, and then she found one. Past simple, it's finished. She was looking for something without a long commute. She was in the process of looking for a job that did not have a long commute. So the difference, she found one, she was looking for one. They moved, they were thinking about moving. They closed the deal, we were closing the deal. We went to France, we were going to France, okay? You see how these are just, a little bit of a difference in the timeline between when they happened, whether they were finished or still in progress. All right, practice time again. So let's start with number 1, and we'll read through these before you do them on your own. So number 1, we graduated or were graduating from university the same year. Number 2, I recorded or was recording a video when the power went out. Number 3, he watched or was watching a movie when I arrived. They faced or were facing a food shortage because of the ongoing drought. The company underwent or was undergoing major changes after the CEO was fired. I bought or was buying a new car yesterday. All right, so remember the keywords. Okay, identify the keywords and the time period. Is it finished or was something happening when it got interrupted by something else? Okay, if any of this is not clear, just go back and rewatch and then come back and do this again. So now go ahead and pause me and answer these on your own. And then once you've got the answers, unpause and I will give you the correct answers. Okay, so you should have already paused and now unpaused, so I'm going to give you the answers. Number 1, we graduated from university the same year, okay? Because the same year is one specific time in the past. So if we both graduated at the same time in the same year, then we both graduated at the same specific time, Okay. It's not something that was in progress. You could say, we were shopping at the mall at the same time, because then that was an activity that was going on. But this, when you say we graduated, which is finished in the past, and they happened in the same year, we both graduated, okay? Because it's both finished and completed in the past. I was recording a video when the power went out. Again, I was recording, and then this power outage interrupted that action that was in progress, okay? Number 3, he was watching a movie when I arrived. When I arrived, past simple moment, I arrived, this other thing was in progress. Him watching the movie was in progress when I arrived. Number 4, they were facing a food shortage because of the ongoing drought, okay? The drought was ongoing, and facing the food shortage was also ongoing because of that. So these were two situations happening at the same time. So we need the continuous. Number 5, the company underwent major changes after the CEO was fired, because we're talking about chronological order here. One thing happened and was finished, and then the other things happened, right? So we're not saying that the company was undergoing changes after the CEO was fired, but we would have said was undergoing changes when he was fired if they happened at the same time, okay? But they didn't happen at the same time. One thing happened, then the other thing happened. So it's underwent. And then number 6, I bought a new car yesterday, okay? If it was something else like when you called, I was buying a new car yesterday when you called, right? Or while something else happened, then we could use was buying. But in this sentence, as simple as it is, it's just the past simple. One thing happened yesterday and now it's finished. So I bought a new car yesterday. All right, that's it. You're finished with the past continuous and the past simple. I hope everything is clear and makes sense to you. If not, please feel free to go back and rewatch any of the stuff that you didn't fully understand. And then make sure you go do that guided practice to start processing all of this information. It will all start to make more and more sense when you start to put it into practice. All right, good luck. See you in the next lesson.